Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud, and this is Champs versus Stars, episode 5, Playing Me for the Foos. Really, this title is referring to the Wes and Bananas rivalry that has returned, last seen in Champs versus Pros, the previous celebrity-esque season. And and for me, it is entertaining. At least this, sometimes the rivalry is pretty weak. I mean, it's not weak. It's just the back and forth, I guess, can be pretty pathetic. Like, especially from Banana's part, he's just kind of saying shit about Wes or to Wes, mostly about Wes, and that's all it is. And Wes is like, oh, okay, and then they vote each other in or something like that. But with this, it's it's them voting each other in, and also just the argument. There's a little bit more of a weight to it, just because we're dealing with charities here, and not only that, but it doesn't matter that Johnny Bananas has a special guest for his charity. Involving his charity, I guess. So it's just like an extra layer between the two of them, like you expect them not to get along, but there's different, it's fresh, I guess. yeah, I'll just say that. But let's blaze through this episode, man, because I am by myself and it's not as enjoyable by yourself. So I'm just going to read these freaking notes here. Wes and Bananas talk. They have some MVP talk. There's like, hey, what's going to happen if, like, you win? Because, again, Johnny Bananas is like, hey, guess what? I'm going to have a guest. He has Downs, and he has Down syndrome. And it would be great if, while he's there, I could win MVP, thus giving me 5 Gs, and I could, like, lift him up on my shoulder and make him feel like a goddamn king for the day. It sounds good because, again, we're talking about charity, but it doesn't really matter between the two. Like, even going back to Champs versus Pros, but it didn't matter between the two. They're like, no, this is a shitty game, and the shitty game is not amplified. It's it looks nicer with these celebrities that people have actually seen before. To me, the challenge is still underground in several ways. But it's a gem of I do like the show for the most part. It's started to dip, except for this particular season. Holy shit, I'm rambling. What I'm saying is that we have celebrities, and then on top of all that, you have charities involved. And you're just like, oh, wow, so this is something else. This is, if you have celebrities willing to compete in this thing, that is fantastic. Maybe I'll get to know these people who are from the challenges, named the champions, because I kind of know the stars, or I'm with the pros in some way, Never heard of this little thing called the challenge. But with the challenge is, it's full of scum and villainy, and mostly because it's encouraged so much by the producers. So anyways, here we have it. We have these two guys who are very similar. They are considered heels, bad guys. I'm sure Banana fans loathe Wes, and Wes fans are just annoyed by Bananas, and well, that'll play out. We'll get there. Let's just dive into Jumbo Foosball, which was great. I like this. This is about precision, but, like, I've seen this thing played out. Like, I remember it was just, like, a YouTube video I saw of, like, a bunch of people in their late 30s, early 40s created this live giant version of foosball, And it was hilarious, and it looked so awesome. And now we have this on a little bit more of a professional level and with a bigger budget, And that is the mission that we get to watch. But it's also still very entertaining because you could see people come shining through. Like what did Miz say? We're like, this is the first time we're seeing the life from the stars. The stars really bring it this one in this one. Like almost everybody gets involved. You know, there's so many people to like. Oh, CT, you were an amazing goalie. CT was the goalie, and he did a great job. Justina was the goalie, and she did a great job. And then you had the people that were, working the middle, to determine which side the ball ends up on at the very beginning when the ball's rolled in by, what's his name, Matthew, the special guest, Johnny Bananas' special guest. And, yeah, oh my God, there's so much to talk about, yet I still don't want to do this, so I'm just going to cut through a lot of it. That's the sad part. I really like this episode, and I'm like, God damn it, I got to record alone, so it will suffer a bit. Let's see here. Let's look at the notes. Oh yeah, 2 10.5s. The champs get to choose a timeout whenever they want, and they could like reassess and change shit. I'm like, holy fuck, that is huge. Why can't the stars change shit? Like, what if they realize they're like, holy fuck, turns out, what's his name? Josh would be a better goalie, somehow. Probably not, but you know what I'm saying? Like, what if, or Riff, well, it turns out Riff Raff is a better goalie, he's crazy and shit. So it is weird that the champs get not only a timeout whenever they want, but they get to change their own team, and that's it? That's nuts. Justina has the soccer experience. She's goalie. I like that shit. She really went up and stuck in my eyes this episode. CT is a great goalie. Wes, he's just like, oh my God, it's over and done with. Like he won a final, his very first final ever, in the duel, basically through his soccer skills. That's how good he is, and apparently he's been playing like for 25 years or something like that. And then Bananas, so him and Bananas both decide to be like the two guys who are trying to push forward and like actually kick the ball into the goal, get it past Justina. Both of them want to do this. Right away, it's about like, the whole team is aware, like, oh shit, is it happening now? Is this the rivalry episode? All right, let's have it go on, I like how, because Zach, he's like, hey man, that just buys me extra time, like let it play out, and let's see, I wrote down that Matthew showed up in a banana shirt. He's going to be the guest coach for the champions. It is funny when Miz is like, hey man, what's your favorite wrestler? And Matthew's like, John Cena. And that is hilarious to me on so many levels, just because I happen to be a wrestling fan. I'm not a John Cena fan at all. I feel like the true fans are like, no, silly boy, Matthew. Silly man. John Cena. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. But you know what? You're supposed to hate The Miz. The Miz, when he's a wrestler, is in fact a heel. He's meant to receive heat from the crowd. Boos. Like he says shit to get people riled up and stuff and hate his ass. So the fact that Matthew was like, he was like, you rank with the divas to me or something like that. It was great. It was really funny. But like The Miz, like you gotta love that. For a heel, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. So it was great. I love that little moment. We get into the first half. We have Wes scoring. Matt scores. He gets one past CT. CT ends up having to throw away his sneaker. It just busts on him for some reason. Remember, like, and shit like that happens to him. Do you remember in Battle of the X's 1 final where, like, he busted his snow shoes or something like that, Riff scores. Again, Riff Raff, like, he's like my favorite. Like, he's such this bizarre alien. I can't keep my eyes off him. and he scores on CT. That is pretty fucking sweet to just say. And you know, Kim, her long ass fucking legs, this tall, statuesque woman, is just able to get through Tori. And Tori, I thought Tori is tall actually, but like Kim just towers over. So Wes wisely says, "All right, timeout." They switch out Zach with Tori. So now Zach is going against Kim, and then they start it off again. Bananas is able to score. He gets a second point. So at the end of the very first half, it's 2-2, and I was loving this. I was like, holy shit! Like, this is actually competitive right here. I'm really hoping that the Stars can win, even though we won't get to see Bananas win or Wes win MVP. You know what I mean? Like, then it would be kind of ruined. But I'm not thinking about that right then and there. We have the second half. Before that starts, I remember Matthew, the special guest coach, he's like, "Listen, don't let the red team win." And then he says, but I want to see more trash. Like, you guys have to start trash talking. And to me, I was like, no, that is actually brilliant. Like, to get into someone else's head. I mean, that is something you can do and can work. So that was great. I love that. But in terms of trash talk, let's see, what does Riff Raff? He gets a second score. I'm just like jumping up. I'm like, oh my God, Riff Raff. And he's talking about like how he got like a scholarship. He's like, I actually got a scholarship to go to Notre Dame in jumbo foosball. He had me going for like the split second, you know, like not even maybe a fourth of a second. I was like, what? And then I was like, no, he's got another line and shit. And then Bananas scores a second time. So now after the second half, it's 3-3. We are going into overtime. And I'm like, holy shit, this is sudden goddamn death. And what do I got written here? Bananas misses. Oh yeah, he does have a chance to make one, and he kicks it out of the box, out of the big field, whatever. And that's when Emily starts to get pissed. She's like, "What the fuck, Bananas?" Like, she's like, Emily's super competitive and very athletic herself. So when she's disapproving in your performance, you really have to take notice. I feel like, and it's for sure going to have consequences. Michelle Watterson is able to like do these back kicks and kind of like steal or kick out from underneath Wes or Bananas. Like, it's great. I loved what she was doing, but in the end, Justina accidentally kicked an attempt. She like I think it wasn't gonna make it, but she accidentally kicked it backwards. I believe that's what fucking happened. But it's a score for the champs. It is it's tragic. It's tragic, yet it gets cool immediately because it's 4-3, whatever. And Bananas, they win. Wes, he takes off his shirt and he stands on top. He does a pose like some football star, soccer to us Americans, but football and everywhere else. I have no idea who that guy is. But then, while at the same time, Bananas leaps out of the field, the foosball field, and is in celebration with his friend Matthew. And then the three women, Emily, Tori, and Anissa, they're just like, so how are we going to do this? And Tori has questions. She's like, has Wes... the very first thing I think was predetermined already was like, it's between Wes and CT. Because CT did a great job as goalie, and Wes did a great job getting the points. Even though I believe technically Bananas got more than Wes, they said Bananas missed a lot more. And Wes was doing the team thing by passing it to Bananas, and Bananas would be missing those things. That's how Emily felt. That is how, where the conversation went. That was the direction, you know? It There wasn't a big overall like, oh my god, we're gonna plot against Bananas right here in front of his fucking friend, you know what I mean? Make a fool out of him. It really wasn't like that. And then Wes walks in and he's like, hey, you know, last season on Champs versus Pros, I volunteered for every elimination, and I never got to be captain. I never got any money for my charity. So, you know, that certainly helped with the decision. So when the Miz is like, okay, we need to know who's the MVP, and Emily's like, oh, we already know. Bananas like, we do. And they're like, Wes. And Bananas is like, when was this deliberation? And this is when he starts to get angry, you know? But the thing is, for me, like, I know Bananas. I know what he's done. You know, if he's trying to make it out to be like, oh, this is fucking pure evil. Like, I wanted to have this great moment, this great photo opportunity with my special friend, and the charities for that, for something very similar. It's for the Special Olympics, I believe. Yeah, Special Olympics. And, you know, he's trying to turn it around like, you guys are fucking disgusting. You guys are evil and shit like that. But I'm like, you know what, Bananas? You stole Sarah's money. Now, if you want to say that, no, that wasn't evil, that was justified, you yourself admitted that that was a dirty thing to do on Dirty 30. He made it a hilarious joke about how the fact is like, I don't know why I'm on this season other than the fact that I stole Sarah's money. I made every woman I've come in contact with a living hell on the island, you know. What was the other shit? Exposing Carmaria and Abram, that shit between them. He's like, but other than that, I don't understand why. And so, I don't know. So when this is happening, I'm like, well, you can't throw in the like, oh my god, this is so low. Like this, my team is full of a bunch of backstabbers and, you know, they don't want me to succeed. I'm like, well, why would they want you to succeed? You've won far more times than they have. You've earned, so that means you've earned way more money than they have. But you've also stole money from a teammate. You know, and you know, they always talk about like how this challenge is family and shit. So that all that rage that he had for Sarah, he justified it, and then later on says, no, that was a dick move. You know what I mean? So, like, I fucking know Johnny's an asshole. So I guess what am I getting at is that I don't know. I wasn't suckered in with like the whole like, oh my god, my friend with special needs, I need this money now. Or I mean, I don't even need the money. He does. You know what I mean? Look at him. You know, I don't know. It was a weird thing to try and attempt. Like, this is why I need to have MVP. Because I have a special guest that has something to do with the charity that I'm doing. Remember Champs versus Pros? And CM Punk was to go against some dude. I think he was a skier or a snowboarder. I'm not sure. I want to say he was a skier. You know, obviously at the professional level. Perhaps even a medalist. And on that night of elimination, his fucking partner gets to show up. His boyfriend gets to show up and cheer him on. And everyone like wells up with, you know, tears and just like, they're like, oh my god, it's fucking beautiful, you know, like. And I remember CM Punk is like, wow, it's almost like you guys want me to lose, you know? Or like, you know, obviously you guys want one person to win, you know, and you're not, how, like, that is a huge, it's like having the home field advantage in some sense, you know, because you're surrounded by friends and family and townsfolk and, you know, all that shit, all that support. So what the shit? Like, I just feel like that is weird. That, like, I forgot that happened last season, and then when this happened, I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing that again, huh? All right, but into deliberations. What is it? He's like, hey, do we have any volunteers? And Johnny Bananas like, oh, shut up. Like, you know you're going to put me in. And Wes is talking about, like, this is all going to plan. And, you know, I love power. I put it into my goblet and gulp it down. And I drink it up. And I'm drunk with power and shit. And, okay, again, heel talk, right? This is bad guy talk. Like, you know, this is diabolical shit that he's saying. And so when I hear this, to me, the challenge is divided in two. You know, it's very Republican Democrat. It's Bananas fans and West fans. And I might be totally wrong about this, but I feel like, you know, if there is a divide, it's mostly there. You know, like, you don't really have like a CT versus Bananas, even though they have butted heads. But for the most part, for the challenge, for seasons upon seasons, for ideologies and different approaches that they have, it's mostly been Bananas West. You know, if there's a Rivals 4, if they really want to get viewers, you're going to put Bananas with Wes. You know? Jesus Christ. Where are my notes? I need my notes here. But what I was getting at is that the divide. Johnny Bananas is, you know, he's very talented. You know, he's gifted athletically. You know, he in the final, he's like the goddamn Terminator. He's kind of slow, but he never stops. You know, that shows the kind of heart that he has. As black as it is, he does have a big heart, big black heart. You know what I mean? So, but the guy, he speaks in nothing but cliches. His shit talking is very fraternity brother-esque. Like, he's still 19, 20, something like that, you know, 18. Just like, you know, how old is this guy? You know, he's well into his 30s. So is Wes, you know, but you know, there's no sense of maturity on Johnny Bananas' part whatsoever. And he could claim all he wants that this is just like, this is how you play the game. I'm like, yeah, that is how you play the game, and you've had a lot of success. But again, you could physically prefer. Okay, what I'm getting at is that when it comes to trash talk, Bananas, all he does is quote movies. All he's, you know, if I gave him enough rope, it would be just enough to, what do you think? Hang himself. You know, these are things that you've heard before, and he speaks and he's quoted plenty of people. I'm just saying, what Wes said, that's original. You know, you won't see a movie that it's not a direct lift from a movie or something like that. You know, that's what Bananas does. He fucking just straight up quotes people verbatim. You know. Oh my God, nominations. Bananas steps on Wes's crotch. He steps on his balls after he's like, they're like, Miz is like, hey, Wes, who are you voting in? You're MVP. Who are you voting in? And you have the power to vote someone in or something like that. And Bananas like, no, he doesn't. He doesn't have the power. And like a goddamn teenager, he steps over the couch and uses Wes's balls as a stepping stone to walk down and walk across. And I'm like, this is so fucking pathetic. Oh my God. Like, you know, for the challenge, Johnny Bananas must praise the Lord every fucking day. He's like, God damn it, you know, if I really peaked in college, you know, thank God this world exists. And you know, this is like one of those some sort of chamber. I can't even think of the goddamn word. Science fiction, anyways, keeps him forever young. God damn it. All right, let's take a look at these notes. That's a note right there getting rolled up. Let's see here. Oh, shit. Okay, so, another thing I just want to say, that when Johnny Bananas stepped on Wes, you're just like, wow, that's kind of, all right, you know, it's a little over the top. But you remember that Bananas shoved Wes in Rivals 2. Remember that argument they were having, and you just fucking straight up shoved him? Like, the difference between Wes and Bananas' rivalry is that Bananas truly hates Wes, and Wes is just like, man, ease up a little bit. Like, just calm down. You take this shit so goddamn seriously. And he's going to say that shit to Riff Raff later on. But, yeah, speaking of Riff Raff, he finally gets his elimination nomination cleared for Takeoff. He's been wanting this since day one, And with that, I was a little cautious. I was like, God damn it, does he just want to leave? Does he not like this scenario at all? But he's so funny. And he's actually performing really good in the missions, So I wasn't sure what to think about it. But, going into it, Wes, again, told Riff Raff, he's like, listen, he takes this so seriously. And the fact that you don't, and you're good, that's going to scare him. And sure enough, Bananas even said so. He's like, those are the most dangerous opponents. They have nothing to lose. The elimination is going to be tic-tac-hole. It's basically miniature golf, little putt-putt action. And then once you get that in, you run down and it's Connect 4. It's a giant version of Connect 4. There's talk of Happy Gilmore before this all happens. There's talk about Shrimp Pad Thai. Shooter McGavin is mentioned, and it was entertaining. It was disappointing overall. Because I was like, what if Riff Raff wants to throw it? Possible, but putting is such a bizarre skill to have. I mean, I know how to do it. Like, I've golfed before, and a lot of my friends golf too. And, but that's also concentration. And that's the one thing where, like, Riff Raff is not that concentrated. Like, the focus thing. Remember, he wanted to go in when it was focus, and Matt was like, fuck that. We need people on our team. He is going to lose. He cannot focus. And this could have been called focus as well. What was this called? Precision? I don't know. It's both to me. It's also focus, yeah. But Bananas, cool, calm, and collected, sinks in all four before Riff Raff. Yeah, Riff Raff never gets one. Bananas wins. He's coming back. Riff Raff is like, this was for the puppies, now that I lost, I gotta buy 100 puppies myself and have them in my backyard. God damn it, very funny. It's sad to see him go. Bananas wins, comes back. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now between him and Wes. It was a good episode. I liked it. Again, I was like, man, I'm by myself. I'm going to want to just blaze through this immediately so I don't have to talk as often. But looking back, I just want you guys to know that I liked the episode. And I'm glad to be able to share my thoughts, even though I hate doing it alone. So it is very weird. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like okay, it's almost Christmas time, right? And you'd have relatives, and maybe you're a kid, and they're like, hey, why don't you give your fucking auntie a hug because she gave you socks, And you're like, I don't wanna. And they're like, you fucking give her a goddamn, And that's me recording alone, So I go up there and I give my auntie a hug, but it's very just like, thank you, just very under my breath, just like, thanks, I guess, it's really like, it feels torturous to do it, but I guess what I'm saying is, you guys are the auntie and you gave me socks. No, that's not right. Whatever, man. This is over with. We got through it. I'm going to try and get a co-host for the next episode, because it's just going to be me bitching some more and just wanting to, like, cut through this shit immediately. But this was Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud. Like, subscribe, and comment.